I'm excited to welcome you to this video tutorial. We are going to be working with a canvas today, and at the end of the project you're going to end up with something that looks a little bit like this. It's a really pretty canvas on an easel, so you can display it on your art shelf just perfectly. Okay guys, before we get started, let's go through your kit so that you have everything in there so that we can complete this project. The first thing is your stretched artist canvas. It comes on an easel, so you'll want to take that out of the plastic. Set that aside. You're going to have a few different pieces of napkins. We're going to use these on the canvas, and I'll show you how to take apart the layers because we'll have to separate them before we use them. You'll have a set of words, and you can use your favorites, you can use all of them, or just a couple. It's your piece of art, so it's entirely up to you. You have a few pages that we took out of books that were, they're headed to the landfill. Nobody wanted to read them anymore, so we're using them to make a beautiful craft. Okay, and you have a little baggie with a bunch of different buttons and a butterfly. We're gonna paint this up later. You have two little tins of paint, a pink and a purple. You have a brush. We're gonna use this more for glue than painting because we're gonna paint with your fingers. Now, the things that you're gonna need from home, you're gonna need a pair of scissors and a pencil. And you will also have glue in your kit, and the parent will get that out for you. All right, I hope you guys will have a lot of fun, and let's get started making this beautiful piece of work. Hi guys. Okay, so the first thing you're gonna need to do is grab your napkins. We have to separate them so that we can use them for our project. So you have to kind of feather the edge because you're going to peel the top piece off. You might need some help with it, you might not, but you're just going to go ahead and separate all your napkin pieces. You won't need these ones, so you can set them aside for a different project or, you know, wipe your dirty face. Okay. So I got 3 pieces. I might not use them all. You might use them all. Whatever is the best way for you to do your project. Okay, so that's just one layer. We need both layers off the top here. There you go. Okay, so that's that one. And, oh, gotta find my corner. There we go. Oh, this one was looking pretty easy. Look at that. Okay, set that over to the side. So we have all 3 of our napkin pieces, and you can see that they're pretty thin. Now, I'm gonna move those for a second, and we're gonna bring in our canvas. We're going to open it up. New art supplies are just always so much fun. So this is the part we're going to need for now. You can set this part away for later to display your piece. Okay. Oh, this one's taped on. Okay, so I have that piece. Now you're going to need your glue and your brush. What you're going to do is use a little bit of glue, and you're going to start brushing it on your canvas. Now you don't need a super thick amount, because if you use too much glue, it will take forever to dry. Okay, so you just get some glue on there. My brush is losing a bristle. That's okay. So I'm actually going to take chunks of this dark purple and stick it in first, and then I'll put another layer of another one on top later. So you stick it down and you go on with your brush that has some glue on it still over top. I'm gonna grab another chunk, just rip it off, and I'm gonna stick some more on. And whenever you need to get some more glue, you just get a little more glue. But less is always better, because you can always add a little bit more. Okay, so I'm gonna keep going and adding little spots of dark purple just in random places on my canvas. This is my starting point. Oh, and see, I didn't have glue underneath that one, so I'm gonna fix it by putting some glue under there. So see now how I have a wrinkle? But that's okay, because that's what's called building texture. A little more glue down. And then glue on top. If you have bits that hang over, like down here, I don't worry about those until the very end when my project is finished. Okay, so I think that that's enough dark purple for me right now. So I'm gonna move on to the full layer. This is what I'm going to use for my full layer. So I need a little bit more glue. I'm going to put it over top of the whole thing. And you don't want to brush too hard because your glue is still going to be a little bit wet, and you'll end up tearing those wet napkin pieces because they're not very tough when they're wet. Okay, now I'm gonna put this whole piece down. And I'm okay if I get wrinkles in there because I like texture. Okay, so get it down, push it down with your fingers, get it all stuck down into that glue that you've set down there. Okay, and then I'm gonna go over top of it again with a coat. And the reason we're putting glue on top is so that if for some reason it's not stuck down with glue on the bottom, the top glue will help stick it down for sure. And it seals it so that you can add stuff on top of it. And you just keep going until you get your piece lightly coated all over the top with the Mod Podge, otherwise known as glue. Sometimes you might have to mush it a little bit with the bristles that way. Okay, so I'm gonna call this done for now. So this you're going to need to set it aside to dry, and we're going to grab some of our other pieces to work on the elements that go on our project. Okay, so you still need your glue and your brush. You're going to bring in your buttons, and you're going to bring in your butterfly and your paints and your papers. So while that's drying, your canvas is drying, we are going to put these buttons into the centers of some paper flowers. You'll need your pencil and your scissors. So I'm just going to take 2 pieces of paper, stack them up, and I'm just going to draw some circles. Bigger sizes and smaller sizes. Okay, now I'm going to cut out these circles. And don't forget, you can pause the video anytime you want so that you can catch up and get to the next step. You don't have to rush. This is supposed to be fun. And I'm just cutting out my circles just nice and rough. Okay, I have one left. Okay, now you can get rid of that piece of paper. So you should have a bunch of circles, just like this. And what we're going to do with them is scrunch them up. Scrunch them and wrinkle them. Just scrunch them up. Okay, just like that. Just scrunch up all your circles. Then you can flatten them back out a little bit and find the buttons that fit nicely in the centers. So some circles are bigger, some circles are smaller. Okay. So I think this one fits nice in there. So what you want to do is just get a little bit of glue in the back of your button, stick it down, and then just leave it because it needs time to dry. So you're going to repeat that for all of your buttons, all of your circles actually. So you just go ahead and stick them on there. Maybe I'll use that glue that was on my finger and I'll stick that button on that one. Maybe I'll use a purple button. Oh look, there's a pink flower one. Is that one? Need a bigger one. Let's use a green one. Okay. So you'll move, once you get your buttons glued on, move your little circles to the side. And we're still going to do stuff with them, but we need the buttons to dry on there first. This is a pretty teensy button. I think I need a bigger one. Go. Okay, maybe a nice bright yellow one. And this bright pink one. So by this point, I don't know, if you're like me, I have glue all over my fingers. So I'm gonna use a baby wipe or a damp paper towel to wipe my fingers off. Wipe the glue, because I don't like when my fingers get full of glue. Okay, now it's the butterfly's turn. You're gonna take your butterfly, and you're gonna take a little bit of paint, and this is where you use your fingers. So you will have your little pots of paint, but what I'm gonna do is put just a little dot of paint on my craft mat surface. And I'm gonna put a pink dot and a purple dot. And I'm gonna use my fingers to paint my butterfly. So I'm gonna use my finger and I'm gonna start with purple right in the center. You just want a little bit of paint and you just dab, dab, dab. And you keep going back for a little more paint. dab that butterfly. Okay. Now I'm gonna do pink. Guess what? I got another clean finger. I'll dip into the pink paint. I'll put pink on the outer edge of the butterfly. Maybe a little more. I think a little more. Okay, turn my butterfly around. Hang on to it. Make sure I got my pink finger. Dab my paint on there. I think I need more purple in the center. Oh, maybe more pink. There, that's looking like I'm satisfied with that butterfly. Okay, now what we're gonna do is we're not gonna waste this paint that I've put out on my mat. So I'm gonna dip it in and I'm gonna wipe it on your extra page. Just wipe it in random spots, just wherever you want. Because you might need to use this page on your project. So we're gonna make it a colored paper. Okay, I think that's good. Now I'll set that aside to dry. And grab my wipe from my fingers. Okay. And I'll clean this up for now, even though we're gonna use some more paint later on. All right, so back to our buttons. You're gonna take your button and you're gonna scrunch that paper up, hanging onto your button. You're gonna scrunch it up around the button because they're kind of turning into little button flowers. And you just do that with all of your buttons. Well, all of your buttons that have paper on them. If you want to, you can add a little bit of paint to these as well, to the flowers, to make them pink or purple. But I'm just making mine shabby, or distressed is another word for it. Okay, so let's move this butterfly out of the way and bring back our piece. Mine is this way. Okay, so you can see my piece. Now you will have words in your kit, and there's a bunch of different words. Now you can tear them out of here or you can cut them. I think what I will do is cut some and then tear some to show you guys what it can look like. So I'm gonna cut these words out. And you don't have to use all of the words. I'm not going to use all of the words. I will just use some, and you guys will pick your favorite words and use those. Okay, so I think I like the word brave. So I'm gonna use brave somewhere on my canvas. And I think I also like the word kindness. Ooh. So we'll use that as well. paint. And let's see, what else would I like to use? I'm gonna use grow. I like to grow, and I like to grow things. I like to grow plants and flowers. So I'm just tearing the paper around that word. I think I need one more word. What about dream? I like dreaming. Okay. Okay, so now I have my words. So if you look at the rest of your supplies, you'll have some buttons left. You've got your painted butterfly. You have your paper button flowers. So I have my paper button flowers, and I think that that would make an excellent word to go with grow, or excellent things to go with grow. Okay, so I have some words on, but I'm gonna put one more word on, and I think I'm going to cut this one. And I like the word hope. So I'm gonna glue this down right underneath dream. So you put your glue down, and you put your word down, and put glue on over top of it. All right, now, if your project isn't quite dry, or maybe your button flowers aren't quite dry, you might have to pause the video and let those dry first. If everything's dry, then we can keep rolling right along. Now, the word grow, that to me says I should put all my flowers beside the word grow. So I'm gonna start my flower garden right here. I'm going to put my flowers on. Some of my buttons weren't quite dry, so they kind of are popping off my paper, but that's okay. Glue on the back, stick them down, glue on the back. Down it goes. I think I need a yellow one. Okay, now a little more glue. Okay. And you will just keep layering your flowers on until you're happy. You don't have to use them all. You decide not to use them all. This one kind of lost the flower, so I'm just going to use that without a button. Just stick it right in there. And I had to move my butterfly out of the way, so I'm going to put him back, her. How do you tell if a butterfly is a boy or a girl? I don't know. That might be a Google question. Okay. So now we're this far. And I like the way that's looking, but I'm thinking that I might need a little bit of paint. So what I'm going to do is get my paint and do the same thing I did before. I'm going to put a little dot of paint out and a little dot of pink paint out, and I'm going to start painting with my fingers. I'm going to grab pink paint first, and I'm going to use my fingers and just rub it in, and this is where you'll see all those wonderful wrinkles from your napkins just pop out. Now, if you don't want to use the paint, you don't have to use the paint. Not at all. And you can use pink paint over purple paint. I'm going to put a little bit of pink under kindness. And I'm going to put a little purple under brave. A little pink under hope. And a little purple near dream. Maybe some pink in the middle. And a purple right here. Okay, so now your project is starting to fill up. You've got lots of different layers and lots of different textures on here. And now's the point where you can add, if you want to make some more flowers, you can add more flowers from your painted piece of paper. If you want to add a button trail, you could add a button trail. I think I'm going to pick some of my leftover buttons that I have and put a butterfly button trail. If you have a tiny paintbrush or a Q-tip, toothpick, any of those would work. Because this glue dries clear, I'm just going to put a line of glue and start adding my buttons in the glue. One more button, I think. Maybe right here. Okay, so now that you've got all of your bits on, everything's where you like it, you have enough paint on, you need to let it dry. Once it's all dry, then you can pick it up and start tearing off the extra bits of your napkin. And just tear it off all the way around the edge. We're not going to worry if it's jaggedy, because there's a few different ways that you can finish off your edge. So just keep tearing it off all the way around. Okay, so now you've got all these bits and they're just kind of not stuck down. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna get a little bit of glue on your brush. And you're gonna go underneath and then over top. And you're gonna stick that edge down. Just like that. So you'll do that all the way around. A little bit of glue and go underneath those jaggedy bits and then glue them down. Okay, you know the drill. Underneath and then on top. Glue down the jaggedy bits. Last edge. Okay. So once this is dry, you can either leave it, which is what I like to do. I kind of like that edge is that way. Or you can take your leftover paint and paint on the edge. So you would just paint the edge and cover that all up so that you have one solid color. Okay. And that's all there is to that wonderful canvas craft. So I hope you guys had fun. I hope that this will have a place of pride on your art shelf, and we'll see you again another time. Bye-bye.